You're on, Leslie.
Okay, sorry, I couldn't tell I was live. Well, it's a rough start, but welcome everybody to FPGA 2021. Thank you all for coming to a rather different venue. We'll go to the next slide. Thank you all. Next slide, Michael. There we go. As always, our program wouldn't be possible without our sponsors. So ACM and SIGDA are being our technical sponsors, but really our gold, silver, and bronze sponsors really made this possible. We wanted, because we were in a virtual environment, to make this as affordable as possible, particularly for students. So we were able to make it free for students before late registration, which you'll be able to see really made a difference. So thank you so much to our sponsors. Please note that they do have booths. You can find them in the bottom left-hand panel at the very bottom. Click on them, and most of them have specific content that you can see. And if you join their room, you're able to have conversations just like at the poster booth. The sponsors may not always be present, but you can use chat to contact them asynchronously so that you can set up a time to chat. They also are likely to post messages that will include information indicating when they are available and how to contact them if they are not. Next. So, in talking about the difference, we wanted to show you how registration was different this year from last year. So we saw almost a 1.6 increase in terms of professional and academic registration, but being able to have free registration for students more than tripled our student registration, which meant that overall we saw more than a doubling of our overall participation this year. So we're really excited about that. And thank you again to our sponsors for making that possible, to make it affordable. Next. I'm just going to quickly talk about how we're doing social rooms this year. So because we're not in person, obviously socialization is a little more challenging. So in your schedule, the break starts at 10:30 PST or whatever it's going to be in your own time zone. And we're hoping to see activity in the social rooms during the break, as well into and over the poster sessions for people who want to go to some of the posters and might have other things to chat about. We've set up some research topic rooms that you can go to, as well as this year we did something that's a little reminiscent of Grace Hopper. We set up hiring rooms. So for academics, we're looking to hire graduate students. There's a place to hang out for both the academics and the graduate students. There's also 2 industry hiring rooms, one for graduates and postdocs and one for industry interested in hiring undergrads. So we're hoping to provide a space for those groups to pair up, so to speak. And finally, we have 3 open social rooms. If you want to not be in control of your socialization, during the 15-minute break, you have the opportunity to be randomly assigned to small breakout rooms with 3 to 5 people for 5 minutes. All you have to do is request it by pushing the shuffle button that's in the left-hand panel at the top under the attendees button. For more info on this, there's going to be an announcement on the shuffle rooms as well as on the sponsors. Next slide. And my last thing to say really is just a big thank you to the organizing committee. For anyone who's been involved in organizing a virtual conference, I'm sure that they can appreciate just how much work this really was for Michael, our program chair, and for Paolo, our publications chair, because not only were we publishing paper, but we were publishing videos and everything else. So much thanks to Stephen for all his work in getting us the sponsors we needed to make this a really affordable conference this year. And hopefully everybody liked our new website, which Dustin did a fantastic job on. And again, we did artifact evaluation and had some artifacts. And Miriam and Suhaib, thank you for leading us on that. During the conference, if anybody needs on-site help in the virtual sense, there's a technical chat room that you can go to for tech support, and that's going to be monitored by Ed and Ross from Clouder, and Joanne and John as well. So hopefully that answers all your questions, and I'm going to hand off again to Michael. And if we were in an auditorium, I really hope that there would be thunderous applause for all the hard work that he and the team did.
Thank you, Leslie. So I'll echo support, and big thanks to John and Joanne, whom you, if you go to the conference, know from the people behind the registration desk, but they do so much more, and this year did much more than I'm sure they signed up for, which is true of all of us this year. But in particular, they wound up having to manage the database that correlated who registered with who was assigned to papers and conferences, and many of you used multiple email addresses, which made their lives more difficult. And they handled all of that beautifully, and I think it's that the conference will flow much more smoothly because of it. So a big thank you to them. And they also pointed us toward Clouder, which I'm very happy they did. And I'm very excited by this website and hope that you experiment with it as the conference goes on. If you're shy, don't fear that you're going to click on some button that's going to cause you to wind up in a video chat room immediately. There's basically no way that happens. Even if you go to a room, there's an extra button usually to click on entering the room where you might share your camera, and then another button to click to share your camera. So just play around. Let's see if I can advance a slide. All right, so the traditional program description of what's going on for a conference. The geographic distribution of papers was pretty normal. 52% from North America, 26% from Europe, 19% from Asia, and 2% from South America and Oceania combined. And it's that distribution that accounts for the timing that we were forced to choose for the conference itself. That it's there's no way we could accommodate everyone, and I apologize to Asia where this is the middle of the night now. But do remember that all interaction can be asynchronous, that you can view all these presentations after they happen. You can interact with authors within the Clouder interface, either by chat or DM or generating rooms to talk to each other. So please take advantage of that in order to deal with time zones. The review process was our usual two-phase process. There were 3 initial reviews on each paper, and all papers that had at least 1 positive review got 2 more reviews before in the final round. And at the same time, with the second round, we ran questions and responses to authors. And we understand that that's problematic to have the questions going out so early, but the time constraints really make it impossible to do otherwise without meeting deadlines. A big thank you to the program committee, who continued to review papers and complete tasks on time in order to hit deadlines, despite the fact that many of them were rethinking and reworking their courses to run them virtually at the same time. The PC meeting, for the first time, we ran virtually, but used the same structure as a normal year, and I was really happy with how it went. I think that when you put 60 people in a room and have a conversation about each paper, the turn taking required for that is basically the same turn taking required to do something over Zoom. And so each paper that had positive reviews was thoroughly discussed in the way we normally would, and the outcome was about the same as it normally would be. There were 135 submission records for papers. Some were never completed fully, some were withdrawn before review. By the time we got to review, there were 107 papers to review. 24% were accepted, 22 full, 4 short. That's pretty normal. We don't set an absolute target for the number of papers to accept. It's really based on what we get for that year. This year, we only accepted 22 posters, which is about half of the number that we accepted last year. And that decision was made mostly to avoid dilution of the pool of posters that you can attend. Because the conference itself, the live part is shorter, the number of poster sessions we can have is smaller. And if we put 50 posters up there for you to look at, I think that you would wind up not being able to choose which posters to go to. So I'm sorry to the poster authors this year. But I hope that leads to more focused and more discussion with the poster people. One thing to keep in mind is that a lot of the posters that were accepted were from time zones outside of something reasonable for the conference. And so even during the poster sessions, you may find that the authors are not present. But that shouldn't stop you from DMing them or chatting with them or finding some time to communicate. Please do. We also had artifact review for the second year. Miriam and Suhaib did it again, and they did a great job. The presence of artifacts was hidden during the review process. Reviewers didn't know about it, so it was not a factor in decision making. The artifacts were then reviewed only for accepted papers, and badges were awarded for 8 papers. The badges are links on the isfpga.org website, and you can find explanations for what they mean. This is a really important process. Reproducibility and accountability for data is really important. So I'm glad this was done again, and Miriam and Suhaib and the crew they managed did a great job. So this is normally the point at which I would stop and say, we'll let the program begin, but it's not normal. So I want to talk you through the flow of the day. The Clouder, we are a simple conference. We have only one track, and that means if you simply stay in the auditorium, and you've clearly found the auditorium if you're watching this, you will be taken through the flow of the day, and papers will flow one into the other as time goes by. And you've already seen the view of what happens when there's nothing going on. You can pretend that you're in Monterey and watch the ocean. Presenters will speak live for full papers for 7 minutes, and then there will be 5 minutes for each paper for question time. We can't allow all 500 of you to turn your mics on, so we won't. Ask questions by writing into chat, and the session chairs will read questions to the presenters. When the talk ends, you will be offered the opportunity to switch to a breakout room with that paper, or you can stay and watch the next paper. I would encourage you generally to stay. The papers are grouped by major topic, and if you were interested in one paper, you'll probably be interested in the next paper. There will be plenty of times to talk to the author afterwards. But it's your choice, and if you really have some burning questions, go do it. Speakers should expect to join their sessions about 5 to 10 minutes beforehand. If you click on the auditorium button on the left and you're speaking next, then you should see a button to go into the speakers area for your session. And if you don't see it, something is probably wrong with your account, so ask for help quickly. Because we have no control over transition between sessions. That is the ghost in the machine at this point, and sessions will switch at the time they are designated. So for you as a viewer, that's convenient, because it means that you can count on the paper you're interested starting exactly when the schedule says it's going to start. For us, it feels sort of like TV production, and we're not used to dealing with that timing. So I apologize for the gaps in timing as the session goes on. The other thing I think about for the conferences is this morning I opened the windows in my office in order to get better light for the camera. And I started to feel self-conscious that here I am sitting in the front of my house, and now I'm exposed to people walking down the street, and I feel kind of visible. And on my street, that means maybe 2 people will see me during the course of this talk. And I'm completely ignoring the fact that there are hundreds of you out there looking at this camera, because that sort of abstract idea is too hard to contemplate. And the authors today are going to feel exactly the same way, that their session time is going to end, and their view of the conference will disappear, and that will be the end of it. There's no way for you to express thanks with applause. If we turned on your mics, it would be a mess. So the way authors will know you're there is by interacting with them and asking questions, and finding even a DM afterwards saying, I really enjoyed your talk, I'd like to talk later, would be a really good gesture. So I hope that the day continues to feel like a conference, and that sort of interaction remains possible. And our automatic transition is going to happen in about 7 seconds. So let's pretend we're doing TV. And I'll see you later. 2. Bye.